nice family, and how are you? How's your day been? Mine was okay. All right. Um, Went around. Where did I go? Had to do a lot of shopping because my daughter is going to uni very soon. So she's got this lovely list, long, lovely list of all the things she needs. So trying to tighten it down a bit. Yeah. But so yeah, I have one daughter off to uni. Oh, I don't want to talk about it to bring tears to my eyes. But anyways, I hope your day's been good, and that thank you as always. I always say thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, parents and professionals, just to have a chat with me. And my chat is just 10 minutes, so I'm going to go straight into it. Yeah. Well, last week we talked about affirmations and biblical affirmations and the reasons why it's so important, especially when, for one reason, it helps with our children's self talk. And self talk is just the discussions, the decisions, the things that they make up about themselves. And it can be positive, it can be negative, but we always want our children's self-talk. We want to build that self-talk up so that it's a positive one, and also one that aligns with what God feels and thinks about them. So just in case, we did that last week Friday, so you can always watch the replay there. Now, like I said last week, is that praise and affirmations, they work together. Why? Because when your child is beginning to understand who they are and whose they are, you want to be able to find ways of pointing out the things that they do in terms of the behavior or the decisions that they make that is praiseworthy. And so it's important that we praise our children. Yes, really do. Um, Sometimes as parents or professionals we tend to forget that because we're so desiring to make sure that they're behaving well and doing the things that will build them up, that we tend to be critical of what we see. Well, sometimes it's just human nature. We just tend to see the bad instead of the good. Yeah, even in ourselves, sometimes you may see the bad instead of the good. And so it takes a lot of effort to truly say, you know what, I see good in you. I see good in you, and praise the good in you. And so we're going to just talk about the 5 things that make praise effective. One of them is that praise must be sincere and honest. Why? Because if not, when it doesn't align with what you're praising them about, they may tend to, like we said last week, disbelieve it, because their minds cannot begin to understand, you're praising me for something but this is not true. So they will neglect it, or in their within themselves they believe it to be a lie. So anything that is inconsistent with their self-view or their self-talk, they will look at it as a lie. And so encouraging words that are we want the words to be like, I've got a few examples here, and I'm just going to read them out to you. So, like, for instance, you're a genius for solving that problem. And they'll probably say, genius? I only got 1 out of the 3 questions. And so already their mind is thinking that, no, that's not true. But if you say, you came up with an excellent answer for that last question, it's sincere and it's honest. And there's really no room for self-talk there. Another example is, what an angel you are. They might just say, no, I'm not really an angel. Sometimes I can be really, really bad. But if you say, it was generous of you to share your sweets, they did that, didn't they? And so that's where it becomes sincere and it becomes honest. That's one thing we need to do when we're praising our children and teens. Yep. And praise must be specific and descriptive. Why? Because you want to be able to point out the specific things in their behavior or whatever they decided to do that made their behavior, that led to the excellent results. And that's a very positive message for children. And also, it makes children see that, hey, look, I can see what you're doing. Actually see what you're doing. So examples can be, don't say, oh, what an awesome painting. Like I said, they may not feel it's an awesome painting. But if you say, I like the way you're using different colors on this drawing, they look at it and go, okay, oh, she likes the way I use the colors. Oh, maybe I might just try that next time. Or, good job. It's praise, but it's not specific and it's not descriptive because it doesn't say anything about what it was that made that job good, so that they can improve on it better. But if you say you came up with a thoughtful answer and you really nailed that, they understand basically what it was that they did. So praise must be specific and it must be descriptive. Now, another thing is that we praise children for their efforts and the process. Why am I saying this? Because you don't want to praise children based on their achievements or ability, because that really makes them result orientated. So you don't want children to focus, we want children to basically focus on their efforts instead of just focusing on the results. For example, I'll read one for you. I did well because I got 80%. But then what happens when you don't get 80%? Does that mean you didn't do well? Does that mean the efforts you made were not recognizable? So really, you want to shy away from making children feel that it's the results that they do that really makes them really praiseworthy, or really makes them good in whatever they do. So praise children, and also if you praise children based on the results, and if it's not linked, if it's linked to their ability, they may begin to really focus on their ability and miss the process that led to it, because there's so much. I remember my daughter when she was young, when she was doing when she was in a test, when she would have a test, she would focus so much on finishing first that she's not even thinking about what she's writing in, because all she knows is that when she finishes first, everyone's going to praise her for finishing first. The teacher's going to say, oh, well done. But the process, when she took to finish first, she could just write in things that don't make sense. But she became result orientated, and as such, the process, the learning curve to follow before you get there was not done. And so I had to constantly try and tell her that, look, it's a process. You know, the writing, when you do it, I had to keep on praising her for the efforts she made, until she realized that it's not who comes first that's the best, you know. It's not who comes first that's the best. And so you also find that, yes, it may, when you praise children for their ability, yes, it may make them want to do more, to get higher, to do that. But then it can have a negative effect in that they may shy away from anything that makes them look dull or dumb. So where they feel like, I'm going to fail in this area, it will make them not want to actually try new things that will, you know, challenge their smartness. So you must make sure that you praise a child based on their ability. And I'll give you some examples when I say this. Say, because if you say to a child, what a smart boy you are. Again, it's based on the results. But if you say you did well in the race, you were full of courage and you tried your best. Hey, what are we doing here? We're making sure that it's based on their ability. Or, you're so beautiful. Again, what does it do? It makes a child feel that, you know, the whole thing about them is just their beauty. But if you say, I love the curls in your hair, it makes your face look pretty. That's nice. Or if you say, I love the way you helped your brother as you played with him. You were very patient there. That's such a beautiful thing to have. Again, they understand what makes them beautiful. So praise um, must based on their efforts and the process and not on their ability. And the child then has that growth mindset. They begin to understand how to improve. They begin to understand what makes them me when you do that. Now, praise again must avoid controlling or being conditional kind of praise. What I mean by this, because praise helps a child build their self-worth, it helps a child build their self-esteem. And children as young as 2 years old begin to develop that sense of self-worth in them. So statements such as good, I know you can do better. It's though it's intended to motivate a child, it's also a controlling tool in the sense that the children begins to feel that, okay, when I do better, that is when I am good. So, for instance, if a child feels that their self-worth is affected by how well he plays football, then his goals will be on performing well, and his practice and matches and everything he practices and everything he does is based on his performing well. So, what happens there? They then avoid activities that they feel they're not good at. They avoid activities that will make them feel as if they're being judged for their performance. So, and it's also important to note that children's that the negative impact of controlling pay and praise is bigger in girls than it is in boys. So controlling praise should be avoided. Now, what do I mean by controlling praise? Now, I'm sure, I'm sure you would want to do better next time. You're trying to praise the child to do better next time, but it's controlling. It has that controlling element part of it. Instead, you can say, you worked really hard on this every day, and I like how you drew this picture using very bright colors. It shies away from saying that, you know what, your abilities are based on your performance, or you did very well that on this one, just as I expected. Again, it has that controlling phrase in it, so it said you keep it simple. You did very well on that one. Now, avoid praises that compare. I'm sure we've heard this all the time. Sometimes I can make a mistake in it when I'm trying to tell my children, oh, just do what your sister did. It's comparing. It's easy to fall in this habit of comparison, believe you me. So, but although comparisons can motivate someone to study or work harder, the problem is that it can backfire. Because when the child is faced with difficult challenges, their self-talk will begin to say, I'm no good. I can never measure up to this person. I can never do what this person does. So they never understand that they have their own abilities. They are special. They are unique in their own self. So avoid praise that is comparison. What do I mean? You are so good, just like your sister. It's a comparison. Instead, you say, you are good at playing this game, or you're the smartest in your class. In your class. So, again, there's comparison. So what happens when he's not the smartest in his class? Does that mean then he's no good anymore? But you solve the problem with such great focus. It's so much more better. So, avoid praises that compare. Now, another one which I really love is that praise, it doesn't have to just be by words. It can be spontaneous. So compliment something that is unexpected, that they're unexpected about. Be spontaneous. You could write a note about it to the child instead of saying it in words. You can give them a high five, you can give them the elbow, you know, do things, you can give them a hug, anything. So praise doesn't just have to be with words. It can be spontaneous. It can be with it can be in any other form. And do not make a habit of praising a child for every positive action. It can then be very, very like, the kid feels, I've heard this all the time. This is just something. Are you true? Is this genuine? So benefits of praising then will begin to disappear. So important again, those 5 things which I've said. Now, just for us to have a little activity, I'm just going to ask, what things can you praise a child about? Just take time right now and think about it. And if you're here with me, you can write it in the chat. You can write, what things do you praise your child about? What kind of character, or what things, you know, have you praised your child about? And I've got a few here. You can praise them for being attentive. You can praise them for being bold. You can praise them for being compassionate, for having such determination, for being forgiving, for being generous, for being courageous, for being gentle, for being loving, for being responsible, for being patient, for having self-control, for being truthful, and for being wise. So these are the very things that we can praise our children about. And those kind of things, it brings out the godly character that you want to see in your child. And it's never too late to praise. So if you haven't, do it, just try and do it as much as possible, but let it be sincere and honest. And why do I say praise and effective praise and affirmations are important? I think it should be done from as young as when they are born. Especially when they're born, they see these things, they can read it on your face. Oh, you know when you go to a baby, oh, good. You can actually see their mouth trying to copy what you're saying, and they're looking at you intently. So praise should start from the very beginning. Let them begin to soak it in and understand within themselves who they are, in the affirmations they hear and in the praise they hear. It helps us to be intentional, and I think in the times in which children live in right now, it's so important. I remember, like I said last week, my sister sent me a link of what the Scottish government has announced concerning children, that children as young as 4 will be able to change their gender at school without the parents' consent, under guidance introduced in the country. That is sad. So if my child goes into school, and you know how playfully they want to just play, sometimes children go in and they copy either a boy will copy either their what they've seen their mom and wear clothes. And I remember in our nursery, children would pretend, boys will come in and wear the dresses and the high heels. And it's not because they want to be girls. It's because they see this is the kind of things they see their mom do. So they're reacting it. They're replaying it. Now, what will happen when a teacher says this and starts thinking, oh, so you want to be a girl now? Now, what does a child at that age know about, do you want to be a girl now? All they could probably understand from this fact is that, are you trying to be your mommy now? And they say yes. And before you know it, they're telling your child is now a boy, and your child is now a girl, or vice versa. Praise and affirmations, they need to start. It's so important. And I'm going to leave the link of that article for you to see. And also, I'm going to put links to my resources, books and stories, again, because the stories help children to truly understand who they are. So thank you for your time. I know the session, I don't want to take it too long. I always say it's 10 minutes, but I don't want to go any longer. And so please do leave your questions or any other things you'd like us to discuss in our chats. And have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. God bless you, and bye.